And tonight on our Great American panel, he's a senior editor of the American Spectator and the Wall Street Journal, right?
Writing a book.
All right, John Funda's here. She's a writer, political organizer, director of the American Values Institute. Alexis McGill Johnson is with us, and she is the associate editor. I really like this website, hotair.com. Tina Korbe is here. Guys, good to see you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
All right, my good friend Larry Kudlow, who's a great guy, had an interview with the head of the S&P. And listen to this as they talk about the downgrade in our AAA bond rating. Watch this.
If I'm not mistaken, on July 21, you issued a warning. There's a 50% chance of downgrade. Where are you tonight? Where are you today?
Well, we're still at 50%, at least a 50% possibility of a downgrade.
We have the best rating, A1 plus right now. If you notch that down to A1 and rates jumped up 50 basis points, how damaging you reckon that would be to our economy?
Well, it would have an impact. It would have an impact, and it would be negative. It would be a depressing effect on economic output, on economic growth.
You know what's amazing about this? If that happens, any savings they're talking about is wiped out.
Right, absolutely. And the thing about the downgrade is that, honestly, oh gosh, I'm sorry.
No, but downgrade is going to raise interest rates, and that means, and for example, it probably will hurt economic growth. So that means the rosy growth projections of the administration, they're also.
Right, but I guess my point with the downgrade is that it is a reflection of whether we actually can pay our debt, obviously. And Rep. Gerald Issa had a quote recently where he was just talking about, honestly, we deserve a downgrade if we can't pay our debts back. And I think that for all of the negative consequences that would follow that effect, it's still important to recognize that a falsely pristine rating doesn't help anything either.
All right, Alexis, so I said to you, all right, what's your political point of view? And you said progressive. By the way, that's liberals never wanting to admit they're liberal, but I'm just teasing you.
I'm unapologetic.
All right. Tell me what Obama's plan is.
Look, Obama had a plan 2 weeks ago when he was sitting in the office with Boehner.
What is it?
Right, where he actually walked out the fiscal plank.
Why can't we read it?
He put things on the table. He put Social Security. He put Medicare. He put Medicaid.
That's not a plan. What is his? Why can't he put out a plan? And because he's so critical, so quick to say he's going to veto, because he had a budget that was scored horribly by the CBO. He couldn't get a Democrat to vote for it. Why can't the President of the United States, who you support, put his ideas on paper and let us see them? Because he's so quick to say veto, veto, veto. What is his plan, and why won't he show it to us?
Obama's plan has been to negotiate with the House.
That's not a plan to negotiate. What is his plan? I want to know what it is.
What was the plan with Boehner? The plan was to actually sit down and carve out a real compromise, which is the centerpiece of Obama's entire strategy.
Cut, cap, and balance.
And his entire strategy has been organized.
Sean, look, there's no good faith here. Obama's like a poker player who keeps putting chips in the middle of the table, betting more and betting more. Finally, somebody calls his bluff and says, okay, let's look at your cards. And Obama says, no, I don't want to show you my cards. That is bad faith. The Republicans passed a budget. Obama hints that he wants entitlement reform. He hints at
$1 trillion. Here's the next logical question. The president's scaring the country, scaring old people, class warfare at a level that I've not seen in my lifetime, and he won't put forward a plan, but yet a disaster is about to happen in 5 days. So what is his motivation then? What do you think his motivation is?
Well, certainly I think Boehner should call his bluff. I think he's just trying to get by without having to put forward a plan. He's trying to let the Republicans war amongst themselves, which unfortunately we've done somewhat. But like you said, we've put forward a plan. We just need to stick with the plan that we've put forward.
Do you think it's unreasonable of me, considering the Republicans passed 2 plans, Boehner spelled out on writing a 3rd plan, is it too much for us to say, Mr. President, put your ideas on paper because all you want to do is veto everybody else's plan? Put it on paper, let the American people read it. Is that unreasonable?
It's not unreasonable. I think what's unreasonable is to expect that the Republicans are actually going to be able to close a deal and deliver on a plan.
Show us they've got 3 plans, 4 plans if you include the Gang of 6, 5 plans if you include the McConnell plan. And the president, all he does is throw stones and scare people. The world's coming to an end on August 2nd, which is total BS, by the way. The world is not, unless God decides it, and he's not God, it's not going to come to an end on August 2nd.
I agree, because I think we can actually raise the debt ceiling by then, and then we won't have to deal with
You know what? Donald Trump said this. He's never done a big deal in his life. He doesn't know how to lead. My contracts are bigger deals than he's done in his life.
Well, but think about that.
Wasn't a big deal.
But
Osama bin Laden wasn't a big deal.
But he had both houses at that point, and that's the whole point. He's never had to work with anyone when there's been any kind of disagreement. Everything he pushed through because he had all of the support.
Yeah, well, when you're disagreeing,
the Democrats are upset with Obama because they think he's a bad poker player. Remember,
I got to hold your thought because I am over my window and people are yelling at me. That's TV talk. More of the great American panel. Straight ahead. All right, we continue now with our great American panel. All right, I'm going to pick on you because you're the only liberal. You said the president has a plan, and John asked you a very interesting question in the break. You can ask it on TV.
Well, the president doesn't have any specifics, and he certainly won't share them with the Democrats in Congress. He talks about reform in Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, and all of that, but there are very few specifics. So that lends us to think that the plan is only behind closed doors.
You asked her what the 4 things are.
Yeah, and she came up with 2 out of the 4.
In other words, what are the four big aspects of the president's plan? All right, so you had time to think.
He has publicly not said that at all. It's only been leaks from his administration.
All right, so what? I think this is very important because we're now 5 days away, and he tells us the world's coming to a collapse. What is his plan?
What he's telling us is that we can't default on our obligations,
yeah,
right?
But you said he has a plan.
Right, and what I said was that his plan was a strategy to compromise. Like back in the day when
what is he willing
Reagan
to do?
and Tip O'Neill sat down. That's the kind of plan that's the kind of strategy.
So his plan is not a plan, but a plan to sit down.
His plan is to sit down and actually have a reasoned debate to get back get people back to work.
He wants to raise taxes. Now the Republicans said no. Republicans have come up with 1 million ideas and plans written down on paper, voted on them, passed them. He says veto. What is his specific plan? I mean, I'm not trying to press you because you're not responsible here. He's the president of the United States. He says we're about to lose our AAA bond rating. America's going to have $25 trillion in debt. And by golly, we're 5 days out, and not one American can tell us what his plan is. I find this unbelievable to me.
His plan, as I said, was to work with the House Republicans and really explore, where the entitlements could be. He was actually walking down the plank and making some choices that were really, really difficult for me, as I said, as an unapologetic,
But you don't even know
liberal.
what the specifics.
I do. He was putting Social Security on the table.
He did not publicly put any of that on the table.
Yes, he did.
There were leaks from inside the White House.
He's been talking about it since Simpson Bowl Commission. Are you serious?
He rejected the Simpson Bowl Commission.
Let me tell you 2 plans I accept. Cut, because we're going bankrupt now. Cap spending as a percentage of GDP and a balanced budget amendment. That's one plan I support. I support, and we're going to have on Connie Mack. We've had Rand Paul talking about it. He's going to be on with Greta tonight. I support this idea because we're using false baseline. Let's keep the budget. Tell me if all of you would support this. 2011, we'll keep the budget where it is, and then we're going to reduce it every year 1% for 6 years because we don't want to burden our kids and grandkids with debt. Support it?
I just heard about it. I have one concern.
What's the concern?
There are some places you could cut more heavily.
Congress has that flexibility. It's only if they don't do it does it become automatic.
Then I would support it.
Support it. John?
Families have had to tighten their belts far more than that over the last 2.5 years.
Support it. All right. Now,
I think it depends on where the cuts come from, right?
But Congress has the flexibility. But if Congress doesn't do its job, then it has to happen automatically across the board.
No, I don't think we can make those choices on the backs of middle-class Americans.
So we risk $25 trillion in debt.
No,
I don't know if you have children. I have 2 kids.
I do. I have a 2-year-old.
You have a 2-year-old.
I think the Republicans right now are giving 2-year-olds a bad name in the way they're acting.
No, but your 2-year-old, God forbid, is going to wake up 18 years old and be bankrupt and have to pay this for the rest of his or her life. His or her. He or her. She. Okay. I mean, it's unbelievable. I can't. Mr. President, I have a message for you tonight. Put your plan on paper and stop being gutless. That's my message. Thank you all for being with us. Greta's next, and we will see you tomorrow night.
Tonight, do you know who said this? Get your ass in line. Oh, come on, you've heard that before by someone. Those are Speaker Boehner's words, though, today, not mine, and he said it to his caucus. Laura Ingraham spoke to Speaker John Boehner about his method of herding the cats.
First, Mr. Speaker, I want to ask you, is it true that you told some of the Republican members this morning that you need to get your A word in line behind this debt ceiling bill?
I sure did. Listen, this is time to do what is doable. And this bill isn't perfect. I told the members that the last couple of days. But that's what happens when you have a Democrat-controlled Senate, and a Democrat in the White House.
Well, the Speaker needs 217 votes, or his bill is frankly buried. And do we need to remind you, we hit the debt limit in just 6 days. One congressman who is, in the Speaker's words, getting his, quote, ass in line is Florida Congressman Alan West. Now, he tweeted, Boehner plan is not a perfect bill. However, the fact Pelosi, Reid, and Obama hate it, doggone makes it perfect enough. Where is their plan? But even if the Boehner plan passes the House, the word is that it is absolutely dead on arrival when it gets to the Senate. No one thinks it'll pass in the Senate. And if there's any doubt, check this out. The Senate majority Democrats just a short time ago sending the Speaker of the House a letter saying they will vote against his plan if it does pass the House and shows up at the Senate. House Budget Committee Chair Paul Ryan joins us. Good evening, sir.
Hey, good to be with you again.
Well, doesn't look like the Boehner bill it may go far in the House, but that's about all.
I think that's a lot of talk right now, and I think what they're trying to do is make these sort of threats to try and reduce the chance of Democrats voting for it in the House itself. Look where we started. President Obama asked for just a blanket increase in the debt limit. No spending cuts, nothing. We said no. We said you got to at least cut more than $1 worth of spending for every dollar you raise the debt limit. Then he asked for big tax increases. We got rid of the tax increases, no naked debt limit increase, and now we got a bill that does what we said it should do. Cuts more than what we raised the debt limit by. Is it perfect, like John said? No, it's not. But it's a good step on spending cuts. Is it as much as we proposed in our budget and passed? No, we cut $6.2 trillion out of our budget. This doesn't do that, but it gets us down the right path. It's a bank. It's cuts we can bank right now and a step in the right direction. And so I think it's a good step in the right direction. We get a pass. All
right. It has to get 217 votes. You've got a rather rowdy freshman crowd. Who ran on the promise of a balanced budget amendment, and the balanced budget amendment is not in the Boehner bill. How do you get them to? How do you get enough of them to get to your 217 mark, and have them go home and face their voters where they promised balanced budget amendment?
So we are going to have